The Chancellor has announced her big spending plans in a big moment for the Labour government nearly a year after it came to power. Rachel Reeves announced day-to-day spending on public services would increase, so too would investment in major projects. She said her aim is to grow the economy so the country feels it. She has a few more years to prove it. She also announced the government will end the use of hotels to house asylum seekers by the next election. Here's some of what she announced. The NHS will receive an extra £29 billion a year for the next 3 years. She announced that defence spending will increase to a higher than expected 2.6% of GDP by 2027. She confirmed that £39 billion will be made available for social and affordable housing over the next decade. Confirmation too that £15.6 billion has been set aside for public transport. Well, the review is still being discussed in the Commons as we come on air this lunchtime. The Conservatives said it was a spend now, tax later statement. We'll get initial reaction to it from our political editor, Robert Peston, and our economics editor, Joel Hills, in just a moment. First, here's our political correspondent, Shihab Khan.
When will we feel better off, Chancellor?
It's the question every Chancellor faces, and today we'll get a clearer sense of her answer. It's not budget day, so there's no red box photo op on the steps of Downing Street, but make no mistake, today's spending review will shape the country for years to come.
Mr. Speaker.
Rachel Reeves first sat through Prime Minister's questions before it was her turn to approach the dispatch box.
I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer,
where she started by praising the work she's done so far.
I made the choices necessary to fix the foundations of our economy. And we wasted no time in removing the barriers to growth. We are starting to see the results. We are renewing Britain. But I know that too many people in too many parts of our country are yet to feel it.
That's why she's announced an increase of the overall government departmental budget by 2.3%. Day-to-day spending will come from taxes, and defence in particular got quite an uplift.
A new era in the threats that we face demands a new era for defence and security. The defence spending will now rise to 2.6% of GDP by April 2027. We will make Britain a defence industrial superpower.
But immigration has been a hot topic, and after long negotiations with the Home Office, they got this.
We will be ending the costly use of hotels to house asylum seekers in this Parliament. Funding that I have provided today, including from the Transformation Fund, will cut the asylum backlog, hear more appeal cases and return people who have no right to be here.
There were also announcements on big investment projects which come from a different pot and the government can borrow for.
I am proud to announce the biggest cash injection into social and affordable housing in 50 years. A new affordable homes programme in which I am investing £39 billion over the next decade.
Further emphasis on energy investment, which the government says is crucial for national security, and announcements on big transport projects too. There was also time for a few little quips at reform.
Now, perhaps the member for Clacton should spend some more time focusing on the priorities of the British people and less time in the Westminster Arms.
Before a final announcement on the NHS.
I am proud to announce today that this Labour government is making a record cash investment in our National Health Service, increasing real terms day-to-day spending by 3% per year for every single year of this spending review.
The Tories say the numbers just don't add up.
this spending review is not worth the paper that it is written on. Because the Chancellor has completely lost control. This is the spend now, tax later review.
It is a hugely consequential set of announcements, but now the focus will be on whether or not this Labour government can deliver on its promises while ensuring that people actually feel better off. Shihab Khan, ITV News, Westminster.
Robert's in the Houses of Parliament. Joel is here with me. Robert, such a big moment for Rachel Reeves and indeed the Labour government. Will this plan deliver that much-needed growth?
Well, I have to say, we've now got some new numbers. They're not the ones that she announced in the House of Commons, but they are absolutely the most important ones. And if you listened to her, you would have thought that, for example, the biggest winner in terms of all that investment was housing and transport, and we should be under no illusion that housing and transport are getting significant sums of money, but absolutely by a country mile when it comes to investment, the biggest winner is defence. And of course, over recent weeks, we've had the Prime Minister talking about the need to shore up the defence of the nation. But in terms of the so-called capital budget, that's money in projects, defence by the end of this period gets £33 billion every year. I mean, compare that with transport, which is just under 20 billion for everything, excluding high-speed rail. And there's another 5 billion for high-speed rail. And actually, housing is really way less than that. It's less than 10 billion by the end of the period. So not all, as I say, quite what it seemed from what she was saying. And then there is the cuts that many departments will be enduring. And this is not overall, as she said, austerity, but in order to fund very generous increases in, for example, health and social care, which on a day-to-day spending basis is the big winner. Overall, health and social care gets a 2.8% inflation-adjusted rise every year, and 3% just for the sort of core NHS England. So it's by far the big winner. But the Home Office overall suffers a cut every year of 1.7%. The Foreign Office, we live in very uncertain times, Foreign Office is enduring a 6.9% cut every single year. And although transport is a big winner in terms of capital investment, its budget is shrinking 5% every year. So although the overall picture is of investment and growth, there's a massive reallocation of funds within government, and some really pretty important departments turn out to be significant losers.
Robert, thank you very much. What are your initial thoughts, Joel?
Well, I think you'll be building on that. I think it's this was always going to sound like money was being sprayed everywhere, which is exactly what it is. I mean, one thing the government can say is that spending on public services, on investment in the course of this Parliament is going to go up hugely. There is a wall of billions of pounds coming towards different parts of government. You heard the Chancellor highlight the winners. They're obvious. And obviously they've focused in particular on the NHS, because that's the public service that is the biggest and is also the one that the public cares most about. A lot of money is being diverted there. Question mark over whether actually that money will deliver the material improvements in NHS performance that the government has promised, but we'll come to that down the line. I mean, I think, as Robert was saying, there are significant losers here. For example, we know that the Home Office was the last to agree the settlement with the Chancellor and the Treasury. Today, the Chancellor made a big thing about the fact that core policing, there's going to be more money to get bobbies on the beat and pull in and help with recruitment. But that leaves other parts of the Home Office, which overall is going to be worse off at the end of the spending review period than it is today, facing some pretty big cuts. And we don't know where those cuts are. Will it come in immigration and visas? Will it come to the Passport Office? Could it come to security and counter-terrorism? We don't know. And I think what we will see in the days ahead is those sorts of cuts, the areas where people face squeezes, local authorities, I suspect, in particular, will start to come into the limelight.